Good morning, or afternoon, or whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome to CraftQuest Casual. And I'm just kind of getting some things set up. And I was going to post out to social media, etc., that I am here. Let's see. And then we'll talk about what we're going to work on. Let me find this. And okay. So there we go. Just move my face. Let's see here. Hope everybody's doing well. I can't seem to find my thing here. Let's log in. All right. If you haven't been keeping up with the emails I've been sending out, yesterday I sent out one about a new video. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then also 2 weeks ago, I deployed a big revamp to the quests. And I want to share that with you. See how it looks on this tiny screen we have here. That's not too bad, I guess. I don't know why it isn't showing my live thing. Is that not showing? Looks like I have a bug here. Okay, we'll fix that. All right. So quests, revamped these, and there's a new design. I slimmed down the number of videos and courses in each one, and I reorganized them. So we're starting with getting started, which is really for someone that's brand new to craft or just maybe refamiliarizing themselves after some time away. That happens, especially in agency work where I've had people come learn CraftQuest because they have a project or two and then go away for a while and then come back because they've had more projects. So if they want to get refamiliar, then that's getting started. There's also the ability here now to just quickly preview the content. So you can see the getting started quest. I've slimmed way down to just the craft mindset course, which I just completely redid a couple weeks ago. And then the quick start guide, and then the DDev quick start guide. So the idea is to get you, understanding what craft is and how to think about it, build your first simple project. It's basically a brochure site for a real estate agent, and then a quick start guide on local development. So those three things should get you started. And then when you're ready to really start learning how to build, then we have the build quest. And that's where we get into what is kind of the flagship course of CraftQuest is Real World Craft CMS. Then Twig Templates in Craft, Control Flow, really starting to learn more, not only how to build a full project, but then learning about Twig, understanding Twig context or scope, dates, and then advanced element queries. And this is the one I'm still working on. I'm going to be refining this. And also adding some more one-off videos, as well as each quest will have some extra credit information like links to articles, maybe live stream excerpts, things like that. So trying to build this out a little bit more. And then extend. This is where I feel like a lot of people that are current CraftQuest subscribers could benefit from, because they might most likely been through the first two already. And I want as many people as possible to level up their skills. And that's why I created this new Introduction to Extending Craft CMS course. And this is meant for people who have built a lot of sites with Craft, very familiar with the workings via Twig and element queries and plugins, but haven't yet taken that leap to extend Craft on their own, whether via a module, their own private or or just private plugin. And that's what this is all about. So extend is for everyone. It's not just for people who want to have a plugin in the plugin store, commercial or free. That's not what it's about. It's about people who need extra skills to bring the projects that they're building to the next level. Maybe they don't need to rely on a full third-party plugin. They can just code the small feature set that they need on their own, either in a module, very approachable and achievable, or in a plugin. And so there's lots of follow-on information there. This is the one I've been working on also to revamp, to modernize some of it, to just restructure it based on the people that I think are going to be using it. All right, so you can see that when you completed it, you get green. This is one that you haven't enrolled in or started yet, so you click on that. And you can go in and see it. You can see all the different parts of it. And this is where I'll slot in like additional reading or extra credit as well. So it has better a flow of like a course, and you can enroll in it as well. And once you enroll in it, then it starts tracking your progress through the course. So you can see you can start it. You can even mark entire courses complete. Let's say, I've already done that, but I've never enrolled in the quest. I just want to mark this as complete. Then you can mark it as complete, and it will count that towards your completion goal for the quest. Okay, so a little sluggish this morning. Not sure what's going on there. So that's that. I did want to, there we go. So now you can see it's 100% complete, and you can review the course here. If you need to go back and rewatch something, you can do that. There you go. And you can see it checks all the boxes for you here, since it is all marked as complete. Oh, that's why it took so long. It's actually going through and checking all those boxes. Okay, I have to improve that just a little bit. So what I wanted to show today is in the, what did I do? I did a new video. Oh, another thing is I renamed lessons to videos. I got some feedback that, well, it's still called lessons here, but in the navigation I renamed it. As people thought that was confusing. So I did this video this week called Custom DDev Commands. And the command that we built, I'm going to pull that up here. The command that we built allows you to launch. So, well, let me just back up. You can do DDev launch, and that launches the front end of your site, whatever your site URL that you have in DDev. And then what we built was DDev launch CP, which then smartly launched the control panel login or interface if you're already logged in for the active project. And it went and looked up the CP trigger to make sure it had the right CP trigger and so forth. So check out this video. It's less than 11 minutes and 58 seconds, less than 12 minutes of your time. And I have some additional information here. But check out this one for that. But I wanted to add on to that today with another another command, but do it with slightly different setup. So what we're going to do is try to come up with a way to make it so instead of doing DDev launch and then DDev launch CP, that I just want to type DDev LP, so for launch project, and I wanted to launch both the front end and the back end in the browser in 2 different tabs, so that I have everything I need to get started. Because typically when I used to get started working, over to my right I have a cinema display, or is that what they're called? Studio display, and typically on the half of it I'll have the code editor, on the other half I'll have a browser, and I'll have a tab open with the front end and a tab open with the control panel, because I'm usually working in all 3 of those. So I want all 3 of them open. So I wanted to build a command in DDEV called LP. All right, so let's look at how we are going to do that. Now, in the lesson or video that I created here, I walk through the basics of the custom commands in DDEV, so I won't do all of that now. So definitely go back and watch that if you haven't already. But I do want to step through how to do that. All right, so in DDEV, we have this directory called commands, and this is our launch CP command. And inside of there, we have 3 directories, one for commands that you want to run on the database container, another one for commands you want to run on the web container, and then one that you want to run on the host, which is your hosting machine. And that's where we have this launch CP command. So I want to create another one in host, and we're just going to call it LP. It's going to be a bash file. And then I'm going to go into here. I'm going to make this executable. So chmod, however you pronounce that, chmod, plus X, and then I need to go into the DDEV directory, commands, host, and then LP. All right, so now that has the right permission, so it can be executable. And then here, what I need to do is just start building this out. That starts with just our shebang for our bash setup, and just going to paste that in. So this makes it more universal to find bash on your system. And then we can put in some metadata for our command. So this description will show up when we run DDEV help, when it lists all the commands. So we'll say launch both front end and CP in browser. And then we can give like usage instructions, which is just LP. And finally, an example, DDEV LP. Okay, so that's what we got. So now we have our basic setup. We don't need shell check. There we go. All right, so we have user bin and bash, and then our description, our usage, and our example. Okay, so what we did in our previous one, the first thing we did is we set our fallback for the CP trigger, because remember the CP trigger is the can be set or changed to anything you want via the general config file or the env file. So we're going to look in the env file in this case, but we need to have a fallback, which is admin, which is the default for Craft. So we're going to set that to CP trigger. And then we're going to go into our env file and try to find the CP trigger. So if I open up env here, you can see I don't think I have a CP trigger in here. But if I did, we would try to find it. And if we didn't find it, then Craft is going to, or the bash script is going to fall back. All right, so rather than type all of this out as you watch me, I'm just going to paste it in. And this is very similar to what we did. It's actually exactly the same to what we did in the other bash script. So this can be reused if you wanted to make multiple commands. So we're saying if there is an env file, then set this variable envcp trigger to the results of this grep command, which we're grepping for craft cp trigger in the env file. And then we're cutting out the equal signs and any double quotes or single quotes if those were included. So if I go into my env file, I'm going to do craft cp trigger equals, and I think what we did the other day was trails. All right. So we have that. So now I can just do echo, let's see, CP trigger. Because what's happening here is that we're trying to find it. And if we do find it, then we are taking, and if this is set, we're then taking CP trigger we have here and we're setting it to whatever the value is that we set it here if we found it. All right, let me save that. And if I do ddev lp, you can see it outputs trails. It means it found it in that .env file. All right, perfect. So at least I know that bit of code is working and we can continue on. So now this is where we're going to diverge from what we did earlier, because before we just built up a URL and then we had some code where Chrome opened the URL. In this case, we need to have an array of URLs. So we'll say URLs. And then inside of here, we're going to have different URL for each of the URLs that we want to launch. And we can have more than two if we wanted to, but in our case, we don't have two. And so we're going to use the ddev underscore host name environment variable that we get automatically as part of the ddev environment. And this is going to give us our project URL. And I want to launch the CP. So now I'm going to use CP trigger, which is either this at admin, or if we have it set in our env file, it'll be whatever the value that was found here, which in our case would be trails. But I want to have another one. I also want to have just the front end, which is going to be the host name. And for that, we'll do this again. We'll do ddev host name. And we're not going to append anything to it since we're not opening the control panel in this version. All right, then we have our URLs here. So that's all good. Right. So the next thing we need to do, which is going to be different than what we did here, which you can see we just built up a single URL. And then we just checked if the open command was available. And if it was, then we just opened the URL here. Now, in this case, we need to iterate over the URLs and then open them one by one. So a little bit of a different setup. So we'll say for URL in, and we need to do URLs and then at semicolon and then do, and this is where our for loop is going to be, and I'll step through all of this in just a minute. And we'll say if command. This is the same thing that we did before. So if we have the command open, we want to use it. If not, we're going to go to dev null. We're basically going to just dump it out into the trash and move on. Then, so if that command is available, we want to open URL, which is going to be the individual URL as we iterate over this set here. All right, and then close our if. And then I'm going to do a sleep of 1 second just to give the browser a chance to open them. And then we close our for loop with done. All right, so let's talk about this syntax right here, which is an array expansion syntax. And basically what's happening is that we want to expand all of the elements in this array. And we want to do it as separate items rather than all together. And that's why we have this syntax. So I'll put, when I put this video in on the site, I'll put up a little written summary of this. So this little ampersand means, let me pull this up so you can see it full screen. There we go. So this little ampersand here, this means that you want to expand to all elements of the array. And then the curly signs, curly braces surrounding it, that's used for expansion, parameter expansion, basically. So we're expanding this out into its own items. And the double quotes around that, that is a little bit of a safety mechanism to prevent word splitting. We don't have that in this case because these are all together, but it just prevents it from splitting up incorrectly. So we're doing it with the quotes, and we're preserving any spaces in the array elements there. We don't really need it per se in this case, but a little bit of safety. Okay, so now the next thing we need to do is test it, because our open is going to launch that. So that's all we need. So compared to what we had here, you can see we have the same setup here, looking for the CP trigger. Then we just build a single URL, and then we launch it. Here, again, same setup. We build a array of URLs, then we iterate over each one, and then launch them individually. All right. So let's make sure I didn't make any mistakes here and try to run this. All right. So we'll run ddev lp for launch project. There we go. So we just launched this one and then this one. All right, let me close the browser completely to see how it works. It opened it over in a different instance of Chrome over here. All right, let me try this again. It launched it on my other screen. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. So now we have both open, and we have a nice little command for launching our project. So in ddev, you can create as many of these commands as you need. You can rate them for the host computer, or if you need to do something in the web, that would be, Composer, any of your Craft commands, anything you need to do to interact with Craft or the PHP application. Or if you want to do database specific things on the database container, you can do those here. And all it is just setting up a little bash script that would run. And that's really all there is to it. Now, if this was a starter project or part of a boilerplate, I could have this command here, launch CP or just LP. I could have these saved with that, and they would be then available to everybody automatically in every single project that me and my team would work on. So it's a pretty cool setup. All right. So if you haven't already, go ahead and check out that course. I'll pull that up again. Yeah. All right, there. This one right here. Go ahead and check out that custom ddev commands. And that'll give you the starting point for any commands that you want to build. Pretty great setup. If you need to read more about the some of the details here of how, especially this parsing and with grep of the CP trigger, you can look at that. And even the ddev host name that we get automatically. So I wrote up some additional information, including docs on custom commands. There's a whole docs page on how to do it in the different containers, including lots of stuff we didn't touch on here just yet. But this would be a nice little starter kit for you to get started on the project. Okay. All right, so what else is going on? As I said, on CraftQuest, I have been working on a lot of content changes. Starting, let's see, the next thing I'm working on a video on extending craft using template hooks. And that's both existing ones that are available in Craft CMS in the control panel, as well as creating your own if you need to do that. I think I did a CraftQuest Casual on that not that long ago, where I showed how I used a template hook to get the live stream time localized. Let me see if I have that here. Let's see. AI vibe coding. Data star. Oh yeah. Maybe it was in this one. Or I talked about myself doing that. Get raw cookies. Yeah, I talked a little bit about that. But anyway, there I am. But regardless, I'm going to do one on hooks, template hooks, how to use them on both the control panel and then create your own. And that'll be part of like extending Craft CMS. Again, a natural place for people who aren't used to writing plugins or modules or haven't before or don't think they can. This is all about making sure that you know that there are all these different entry points for you to extend Craft, even if you don't think that you're a plugin developer or you don't write PHP. There's lots of small things you can do to just empower yourself, level up a little bit on customizing your projects beyond only using plugins that other people wrote. It also might help you simplify any twig logic you have. Maybe you have a lot of business logic in your twig templates that really shouldn't be there, but you're more comfortable writing twig than you are writing PHP. I'm trying to help build that bridge over to customizing Craft. So I know there's a lot of people out there that are good at Craft but don't customize it. You are who I am after to help you learn how to do that. It's going to be my focus for a large part of the rest of this year. So if you have feedback on that, let me know. Happy to entertain all and any feedback on what I should be doing differently to make sure that CraftQuest has the content and the training that you need, especially in the times of AI tools where it's easier in the short term to get a quick AI answer than it is to actually learn how something works. But we should be the whole idea of learning hasn't gone away with AI because you still need a informed person to guide the tools to make it all work. So, yeah, but that is the plan as me and me. That is very strange. Let's get that out of there. Okay. If you're not familiar with this site, this is TrailQuest. This is the sample project that we built in the Real World Craft CMS course. And I hope you check that out. Other things before I wrap up. let's see. I sent an email yesterday. It had all about the new video on the DDEV command. Oh, if you are not yet a subscriber, for new subscribers, there is a summer sale going on. I encourage you to jump on that. If you get on at the annual plan, it's your best savings that's going to extend all the way until this time next year. Just a one-time 40% off payment, which will get you all the training through next year. Great deal. You should jump on that. And I think that's it. All right. Any questions, always feel free to reach out, ryan@craftquest.io. And thanks for joining me for this quick version of CraftQuest Casual. I enjoy doing these as I sit here and start my day and my morning doing work, sharing what I'm working on. I'm about to jump in and continue writing this template hooks course, which is almost there. I don't have the draft up here, but yeah. Next week is the first Thursday of August. That means we are back with the CraftQuest on Call live stream with Andrew Welch. We took a hiatus for the summer, but we're going to get back in the swing of things. Andrew and I are preparing for our .all talk at the end of September. Excited about that. Hope to see some of you in Lisbon, Portugal at .all 2025. All right, we'll see y'all next time. Take care.